Good afternoon. Welcome here to Broadway United Methodist Church on this Martin Luther King Day. I'm happy to welcome you and introduce the reading of the story of Waddie, Welcome, and the Beloved Community. One of my favorite lines of Dr. King's was when he said that we are all tied together in an inescapable network of mutuality. And that's what this story of Waddie is today. It's not only that way in the story that you will hear, but also to tell you that this weekend around the world, there have been readings of this story. You are part of something that's happening around the world throughout this weekend, including today on other continents, in other cities, in rural communities, and here at Broadway in Indianapolis. And I want to begin with the reading from the quote that appears at the beginning of this book. It's by Reverend Jim Lawson, the United Methodist minister who worked alongside Dr. King. The beloved community is not a utopia, but a place where the barriers between people gradually come down and where the citizens make a constant effort to address even the most difficult problems of ordinary people. It is above all else an idealistic community.
That we shall overcome someday.
The reason that we're reading today on Martin Luther King Day is a number of reasons. This book was written a few years ago, and I heard the story and decided to start reading it to groups of people myself in my work. And some of the people that were in one of my readings took it back to their church in Taos, New Mexico. And they had a group of 20 people that came last year on Martin Luther King Day. Not only had a phenomenal conversation after reading the book, but decided to hold a much bigger reading this year and to do a better job marketing. And so we started thinking about, we should do that all over New Mexico. I was working there at the time. We said we should do it around New Mexico. But I live here in Indianapolis, so I thought we should do one in Indianapolis. And then we started talking with other friends, and more people around the country said, yeah, that would be a great idea. And then we went to Toronto for the Summer Institute in July, and there were people from around the world. And the idea has grown so that this reading is taking place on many continents today, with lots and lots of groups, with people in kitchens, in churches, in community centers, in colleges. Lots of different groups of people are reading the book and then having conversation. So we would like to invite you downstairs because we have refreshments and a World Cafe conversation. With the size of our group, we'll think about if we want to do that or we want to have one conversation downstairs so that we can kind of think about what does this mean for us? What does this mean in our own lives?
Started out saying Waddie Welcome is human, so the fact that he is human sort of sets off the story. He might have been a little guy, but he made a big, big impact. Don't judge a book by its cover. He clearly portrayed that over and over again. He was a pretty good book. He was told no 39 times. The fact that people were still willing to press on to that 40th time, whereas most people would have just stopped long before they got to 39. In people's experiences that they could take from this, they found times where they could actually say hi to someone different, where they could interact with someone they normally wouldn't interact with. They would pay attention to people they would not normally pay attention to. They would take time to listen, and they'd realize that the time could be giving them a path that they never realized was possible. Someone had mentioned helping someone pick books up and helping people even through school in different circumstances where normally they would make fun. So instead, taking the time to actually go out and help others. Even though you may have in times past made fun of them as opposed to helping them. Don't turn your back on someone. Even though you may have judged them previously as sort of a bad book, don't turn your back on them, pay attention. Anyone can be a leader, even this strange little man named Waddie. So don't pass yourself up as being a leader. But I have this guy with an arm coming out of his head, a leg coming out of his head. An arm is what's holding him up. He's a little strange. Some people may say he's disabled because he's not quite put together right, but he's just different, and he's worth getting to know. He's not disabled. I have a little guy here. I'm worth getting to know. And last, it's the little things. Being able to smell the food was interesting. Normally, we wouldn't even pay attention to that. It would have just been a side note. Sure, we can hear kids playing, and we can smell food cooking, but to Waddie, that was...
A eulogy for Waddie Welcome. Waddie Welcome was all the things you see on your program, but Waddie Welcome was also a kidnapper. He had a way of catching your eye with his eyes. He would use his amazing smile and that quick laugh to hold you. Mr. Welcome had a way of capturing people and not letting them go until they were a better person. At first, he is a puzzlement to most people. Then to many people, he brings reflection and insight. And to some, a great growing number around the world, he brings hope. Hope of a better world. Hope where there is more listening, more laughter, and more love. Mr. Welcome brought all three of these things: more listening, more laughter, and more love. And to this the congregation said, amen.
People get ready, there's a train a-coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear those diesels humming. And you don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. So people get ready, there's a train of Jordan. It's picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key to open up the doors and board them.